Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium, and I channel a cadre of political spirit guides that help me answer your questions. Today is part 2 of the questions that I answered a few days ago. This would be from February 22nd is the first day of part 1. So if you're looking for that, that's where you can find it. So you guys send in questions and I find them on my community page when I send out a call for questions, and you give me these really awesome questions, and I really appreciate it. We're going to start off with Michael Smith. Michael Smith says, do the guides see Fox, so-called news, having to pay up in the Dominion defamation suit? I do see that. As a matter of fact, it's even better than that. I see Fox having to pay, and I see, what is it, the FEC, the FCC? I'm not sure what it is. Whatever the governmental agency is that governs this type of media broadcasting, I see that they may be split up. Now, it also might be that Fox gets split up just because their money they need to liquidate. I do think that this is going to hurt Fox News. I do think this is going to change Fox News forevermore. I think they'll finally get rid of and they have gotten rid of some of their other people they've gotten rid of, right? But they've kept the Tucker Carlsons for some reason. I do see that really affecting Fox News and changing Fox News, and that's going to indeed help the rest of us, because that is definitely, they are a player in the MAGA world in disinformation, allegedly for entertainment purposes only. Thank you for your question, Michael. But this is going to break them up, bring them down, reorganize them. And I think it's going to be for the better. Great. So Chris Piazza, hi, Chris, how are you doing? Says SCOTUS, which is the Supreme Court in the United States, will be hearing 2 cases that could affect free speech by essentially breaking the internet, quote unquote. YouTube, Google, all platforms would be affected, including shows like mine. The cases are called Gonzalez versus Google and Twitter versus Tamny. They started as a challenge over ISIS recruitment online. The issue is essentially whether the platform itself can be held liable for the content of what's found on the platform. So in the past, Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act has been enough to allow the internet to operate the way it does, but these cases say that isn't enough. From what I've read, in a sane, normal world, a normal Congress would simply enact new laws to protect people from abuses like ISIS and still maintain things like we all enjoy here on YouTube, like my channel, for example. So she wants to know, how will SCOTUS rule on this? Well, what I see, Chris, is I do see a tightening, and I have seen this for a year, so that means the energy is pretty set in stone in some ways. I do see a tightening of shows like mine. I'm a psychic. I'm for entertainment purposes only. I'm skating on the same, to be honest with you, I know it's not the same, but I'm using the same pretense that Fox News is using. We're not news, we're entertainment. We can say anything we want, right? That's why we often say for entertainment purposes only. Fox News started that. That's how they've gotten around some of these delicate things that they talk about that could be misinformation or disinformation. I do see a tightening of our airwaves, of our media. I don't necessarily see this ruling by SCOTUS doing that, but I do see a tightening, and that is why my guides told me to start a membership community, because they said, you're not safe on YouTube. What you do is not safe on YouTube. They've told me that over and over again. I've had people contact me out of the blue and say, I'm a psychic. I'm telling you, I'm getting this. Please protect yourself, right? So I do think in 24 and in 25, shows like mine will be very different. They meaning the government or whatever, tend to use sort of a across the board ruling or across the board way of dealing with things, and it doesn't sort things out. It just across the board. If you're under this line, you're included, whether it's good or bad, doesn't matter. So I don't see that particular case going through, but I do see a tightening of our ability to speak. And I think that we will all be much more careful in what we do. And I do see that we may move to a different platform, that we may go, some of us may go off of a public platform, or we may put very limited things on the public platform and have a separate platform, basically going underground. I mean, there's no other way to describe it except for that we may have to go underground, just the same way that whether we like it or not, we're going to be put in a bucket with people that would incite violence. I mean, they're not going to pick and choose. Oh, you're good, you're of the light, you're of the dark. They're just going to say everybody who's not a verified news organization, and we're going to verify the news organizations, is going to be governed by these rules. And what we're going to adjust. We're just going to adjust. It's going to be fine. You're still going to get your public information. We're all just going to have to be kind of careful about what we say. So don't everybody freak out and say, I'm not trying. You guys always read. I think you read more than what I'm saying. Everything is going to be fine. We will adjust. Okay. All right. Jules Ever After says, okay, this is a crazy thing. Okay. Buckle up, guys. Just buckle up. This is going to be a crazy video. Jules Ever After says, hi, Susan. I've been seeing a lot of videos recently by psychic community. I don't know what psychic community, Jules, you've been watching. Hasn't been ours. Saying that Biden has stolen billions and he'll be out in March with Kamala Harris taking over. The comments call him demonic. Is there any possibility to this? Because I physically felt ill thinking we could be duped. I don't believe it. So Jules Ever After is saying she doesn't believe this. Do not attack Jules Ever After. She's saying she doesn't believe this. Please listen to what I'm saying. However, I think what she's trying to say is this information is out there. These psychics are saying this, and perhaps one of you guys will run across one of these people, or perhaps a friend of yours or a family member will bring this up. I would tell you, there's always, when people are liars, there's always a grain of truth somewhere, right? They take that little grain of truth and then they pile lies all around it. And that confuses people that are empathic, because we can see the grain of truth, but we don't understand the lies. It's like, what is going on here, right? The grain of truth is that I think that it's possible that Biden steps down before his term is over. That's the grain of truth. I've said this for 2 years. I've said this before he was elected. Honestly, I've always heard my guides say that Kamala Harris will be president. That might be the grain of truth here. Now, I think that some of these psychics are psychic, and they're picking up on that too. However, maybe they have an agenda that's not necessarily of the light. And we all know that if you want to trigger a MAGA, just say that Kamala Harris is going to be president. It triggers them like nothing else. It makes them lose their minds. So it's easy. It's an easy button to push over and over again. So no, Biden has not stolen anything, not billions, not millions, not 25 cents left over in the Coke machine that somebody forgot to take. Okay. I know we all know this. I know I'm preaching to the choir. But there is a little bit of an energy that Biden is just not going to make it to 24. I know he's trying to make it to 24. Don't yell at me. 1-800-Spirit Guides, press 1 for complaints. It is a hard job that he does. I know in the last video I said he's 80 and people said 80 is not that old. 80 is old when you're president of the United States. Look at how much it aged Obama. You know, he's a young man. It's a tremendous amount of stress. It's a tremendous amount of responsibility, especially for somebody like Biden, who believes in America, who believes in the real truth, the essence the essence of democracy, the essence of what America is, the real beauty, the real soul of America. It's a tremendous amount of pressure. I have been noticing some things about Biden. I just feel like it's just taken a toll on him. Okay. So that's where I think the truth is. He doesn't want to step down. He doesn't plan to step down, but he also wants what's best for America. And I've seen this, that Kamala will be president. I don't think that she can win an election. I just don't think she can. I'm not saying she shouldn't. I'm not saying she's not worthy. Don't hear me wrong, folks. Please do not hear me wrong. I don't think she can be elected for whatever reason. But I do think she's going to be president. So how does that happen? He doesn't finish either his first or his second term. I think for him, I think the game plan is for him to finish his first term, to be reelected for his second term, and then for her to finish his second term. I think that's the plan. I do see a Democrat as president in 24. End of story, right? Whether it's him or her, I do see that. So these are just crazy ramblings of crazy people, right? That these other psychics are not of the light. They have a predisposed idea about what they want. And when you have a predisposed, if you're not going to be a blank slate, that's why I tell you guys, 1-800-SPIRIT Guides, press 1 for complaints. I try, like anything, to be a vessel, to be a blank slate, which means sometimes I tell you things you don't want to hear. If you're not a blank slate, then you're bringing your own ego into the reading. And if you're bringing your own ego into the reading, then your readings are not clear. They're not going to be as accurate. Okay. Whew. Told you. It's bringing it here. Janet Neal says, could we ask the guides whether Jack Smith is going after the big fish, like bigger than 45, like the Koch brothers, I could say his name, but now I can't. Magliovich, the Russian person, who's a transnational organized crime guy. No, he can't go. I'm telling you things you don't want to hear. He can't go after these people. I tell you guys 1,000 times, there are untouchables. It is true. There are untouchables. Just get over it, folks. I'm sorry. If you were black, brown, or gay, or Jewish, or Muslim, or Native American, or any other minority, you would know this. There are two sets of justices in this country and in the world. However, what I will tell you is that we cannot put them in prison. We cannot take them out, but we can legislate them out. We can make laws to make sure that they don't have access to our lawmakers. We can tighten up our amendments, the Constitution. We can do these things. We really can, and we will, because we have to. We want a healthy democracy. We can see how unhealthy our democracy is, and we can see how unhealthy our democracy is going back to its inception, its conception. It was an imperfect document. They said this. This is an experiment. They said this. The reason there's amendments is because they wanted us to change it. It's a living document. We will change it. We will tighten campaign finance laws. We will vet candidates better for their connections to dark money. We will take dark money out of politics to the degree of about 80%. Spirit guides have said this before, that we would take 80% of the dark money out of the Supreme Court. Now that leaves 20%, and maybe we can get it down to 10. I don't think we're ever going to get it out, because we're humans. We have free will. we're not angels. We're not saints. We're never going to have a saintly, you know, nirvana. This is earth, you guys. Earth school is about learning, is about being challenged, is about yin and yang, is about good and bad. It's about free will. So even as we ascend, we're still going to have some choices to make, always. But as you look at history, you can see that the choices are better. Again, we did not repeat Nazi Germany. There's a lot of semblances, a lot of the similarities, but we didn't repeat it. We learned our lesson. So the timeline will continue getting better. We'll take this dark money out and out and out. Now, we may never get rid of it, but we're certainly going to tighten up. And again, it goes back to what they just said about tightening up the media. We have to start tightening these things up, even if it infringes on free speech a little bit. We have to. They're using our freedoms against us. So we have to kind of tighten up campaign finance laws, dark money, some of the media. We're just going to have to. And that's the thing I see Kamala Harris doing. She's the law and order president, is what they always have told me. What does that mean? It means that she's likely going to be president during a time when we're dealing with some of these things. We're dealing with the inequities or the gun issue. We're clamping down. We're saying you're not going to have weapons of mass destruction. You're not going to have the ability to hide all this dark money. Maybe we'll get to Citizens United. This is the stuff that is on our plate going into 24, 25, 26. And I see a Democrat at the helm of that. Now, whether or not I see more bipartisanship next year, because the Republicans are going to have been, a lot of them are going to have been tossed out or forced out or leave. And then there's going to be a reshuffling, and we're going to have more bipartisan leadership going forward. Now that's not going to mean the Democrats get what they want. It doesn't mean that, honestly. Again, Liz Cheney and Adam are not moderates. They're not moderates. So if you see bipartisanship with Democrats and very, Trump-like Republicans, maybe they're not ready to overthrow the United States, but they represent big business and they're not pro Social Security or Medicare. So if you see that kind of bipartisanship, you're not really going to see Democratic rule. You're going to see probably a little to the right of center, but it's going to be better than what we have now with the just ludicrous things that the Republican Party are doing. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Thank you so much. Raji G, I was reading recommends. Maggie G from Recommends and Rants. Maggie G says that she's been noticing right-wing news outlets in the U.S. reporting negatively about Canadian politics. Why are they so interested in Canada? Are they trying to throw our neighbor into chaos? The answer is yes, but it's not chaos. They're trying to privatize it. You guys, it may look like chaos, but all they want is privatization. Canada has, a national healthcare system. And ask any Canadian, they have been attacking that and trying to take it, pieces of it, and make it privatized. Their national healthcare system is under attack because the same reason that our schools our public free schools are under attack. Why they want to have vouchers, why they want to take over the Postal Service, why they want to take over NASA, why they want to take over the military and the people that cook the food for our military is no longer military. It's companies. It's profit. Canada represents a lot of governmental control. Canada represents a lot of government. The government does a lot for the Canadian citizens. And there's profiteers in Canada that want that money. It's the same thing in government. Every line item in our government that has a dollar amount on it, they think should go to a free market person, just like the Social Security. They want Social Security to be invested in the stock market. It's the same thing happening in Canada. You're going to see this everywhere. It's profiteers. They want the profit. So that's what's happening there. And Canadians, please feel free. I'm sure you're going to see about 20 comments from my Canadian viewer friends ranting about this because they've talked a lot about this. Thank you for your question. New England Nomad says, what year will Democrats win Texas governor? Always come up with some interesting questions there, New England Nomad. I think maybe somebody's asking this, but in this, I don't know, but Beto had to lose because Beto's life was at stake. End of story. Can't say more, but that's the truth. And I'm glad he lost because his life was at stake. His family's life was at stake. I see Abbott, Texas governor, going downhill. I see his energy flagging. I see him going downhill. He may leave before his term is over. And that may, the fact that the guys have said this before in another video, they're telling me, what is going to happen to Abbott? But Patrick, the lieutenant governor as well, potentially, because the lieutenant governor would become governor if Abbott stepped down. But I see both of them having this same problem. So they both may be removed, or one may step down, one may, I don't know how it's going to happen. Don't count Beto out, because whatever is exposed, I'm not going to go into details, but whatever is exposed with Abbott and Patrick, the lieutenant governor and governor, is going to clear up the threat that could have taken Beto out, and we may have a special election. And the guides have said all this in more detail before, but they told me to stop talking about it. So I'm not going to go into details, but that's interesting, right? I see DeSantis and Abbott. Those two are very similar to me in their energies. I always kind of see them linked. Not to say that what happens to them is linked, but I see both of them having some real hardships in 2023. And I see them being their leadership being threatened. I see them having to deal with perhaps some charges or some indictments or something like that, allegedly. So watch Texas and Florida this year. I think that you're going to see, when this spree of indictments starts happening, when it starts with Fani Willis and then it kind of just grows out of that, these people are going to get caught up in those. It might not be directly, it might be indirectly, but it might be enough to get them to step down. It's almost like I'm seeing like a rope, like a thing that you would rope a cow with, that has the little lasso. Thank you. Hello, lasso. I'm seeing lassos on the ground. And I'm seeing DeSantis step his foot in it, which looks like an elephant foot, which is interesting. That might mean the Republican Party. I see him step his foot in this lasso. It's like a trap. And somebody goes, whoop, got him. And boom, he's on his belly being drugged back. So big doings for DeSantis and Abbott and apparently Patrick this year. Watch that space, because I don't think they're going to come out of it very well. And your other question is, will Biden win North Carolina specifically in 2024? Yes, I changed it to Dem in your question. But I do think that if Biden runs in 2024, that he will win North Carolina in 2024. You guys, Biden's popularity is getting ready to go up. Not just yet. Give him till July, August, September, November. I've always said this, actually. They show me this graph where the graph kind of goes in a gentle curve, not a spike, but a gentle grad. It's a pretty good hump. His popularity is going up. He's going to be very popular. He's going to be seen as a very popular president next year, because a lot of the stuff that we don't know now is going to come out, and the average Joe is going to say, oh my God, we almost lost our democracy. This man saved the democracy, not only in the United States, but in Ukraine as well, right? So I think he's going to do very well in North Carolina. Thank you for your question. Ilan, I don't know if I'm saying your name right. Ilan or Lynn, Bukima, your question is, since the winds of change are blowing, will DeSantis and Abbott be removed from office earlier than expected, say sometime in 2024? You read my mind, or they read your mind. You're the next question. And they sometimes, have you guys noticed they answer the next question a lot of times before I read it? So they just answered your question, I think. Thank you, Ilan. Starhawk says, given rumored cognitive issues, will Senator Feinstein retire before her term is over? Yes, I think so. To be honest with you, there's talks behind the scenes that she should retire or step down is what they're saying. But I think retire would be the public reason. Yes, I do think she's going to retire before her term is over. And I do think that it's because of, I'm not going to call it cognitive issues. I'm going to call it, again, it's about Biden being 80 and running the country. It's a lot. These are not small jobs these people do. They're very taxing. And I think that she just can't hack it anymore. Her energy, her stamina, her mental acuity, it's everything. It's not just her cognition. It's everything that is, that they're, I guess that's how they're saying it to her. They cannot tell her, look, you don't have a snap. You're not cognitively capable of doing this job. So instead they're saying, you just don't have the energy. I think they're just using different words. Okay. But yeah, I do see her stepping down. Thank you for your question. Zuckery, I'm not sure how you would say that. The recent hearing about the supposed bias by Twitter against Republicans did not seem to go as planned, actually revealed that Twitter worked to appease Trump, and that Trump had asked a tweet to be taken down. This made me wonder if the investigations by Jim Jordan, etc., will actually backfire on them by revealing things to the public that the Republicans would rather not be known. Yes, even Trump incriminates himself all the time. These Republicans are constantly incriminating themselves. I mean, over and over and over again. Sadly, it often falls on deaf ears. It doesn't gain traction. Not enough is made of it. So it will backfire, but not immediately. I think it takes some time it takes a very long circuitous route to come back around and cause them problems. I wish there was more of a direct, cause and effect, but there seems to be, and maybe that waiting time, as they said earlier, the waiting time is built in because we need these MAGA people to calm down, the cold water to be thrown on them, for some of them to be arrested, for them to see, frankly, that they're compadres, that they're friends, that their neighbors have been arrested. I mean, within the MAGA community, the guides are saying, how Kevin Bacon has that 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. There's really a 6 degrees of knowing somebody that's being investigated or has been indicted and doing jail time in the MAGA community. I can give you a case in point. I have a friend who has an ex whose daughter was at Jan 6. I have a friend whose ex, her ex-husband, his daughter was at Jan 6 and lives in terror of being investigated. Now, I don't know that she went in the building. I think she was just in the crowd, and I don't think she did anything violent, but she has been living in terror of being investigated. So that's me, my friend, her ex-husband. That's 3 degrees of separation. And I'm not a MAGA. So what my point is, what the spirit guide's point is that if you're a MAGA, you know someone who knows someone who knows someone who might be in jail. Now, if that doesn't chill your butt out and make you think twice about flying your MAGA flag or supporting Trump, then, you deserve what you're going to get, right? So this chilling time is allowing those MAGAs to go to jail, and it's allowing people who know those MAGAs to know those MAGAs are going to jail, which is going to make them think twice about doing something like this in the future. Does that make sense? So in this way, Garland is actually doing us a favor. All these roundabout things that take so long are actually perhaps for a really good reason. We'll see, right? Okay, Karen Conroy, thank you for your question, Karen, and thank you for doing the timestamps for the videos. When you do them, I appreciate it so much. And I know that a lot of you guys watching appreciate it. Karen says, what will happen with maggots attacking Pete Buttigieg over the train safety issues, the Obama safety regulations that were revoked by TFG? She means Obama had safety regulations that were revoked. It's not his fault. In other words, what she's trying to say. Listen, I've said this before. They're attacking Pete Buttigieg because he's popular, because he really fits the bill for being president. Think about it. They started attacking Hillary way before she ran for president. This is what they do. This is their MO. They figure out who's a likely candidate, who's got the juice, and then they just start attacking them. That's why they're targeting Pete Buttigieg. They've been targeting him. So this is why. It has little to do with anything other than he's a threat to them, and they're going to, again, you guys, when it's all about narrative, whoever starts the story owns the narrative. That's why whoever gets the news out in the news cycle first owns that narrative of the news cycle. Democrats are always last in creating narrative. I don't know why. I don't know why. But Republicans are, well, maybe the guides are like, because they care about facts and figures. Well, that's a good reason. The Republicans just spew whatever they want to spew. They don't care if it's correct or not. They don't care if it's factual. They just want to have the narrative. But then the news agencies pick that up and run with it. And then we are all left with fact checking them, running behind and fact checking them, right? So it is the way it is right now. That the media will likely change. It will change. That's what we talked about earlier. I might do 1 or 2 more questions. Lori Johns, Andrish, thank you so much for your question, Lori. And this is one of those, we just have to create a video of the craziest things that happened during this time. We should just do a video, because it would just like the late night show should do a video of nothing. Stephen Colbert should do a video of the craziest things Republicans have done. So we'll add this to the video. This Montana congressman, this is a state congressman, has introduced a bill to ban those who have received COVID vaccines from donating blood, tissues, or organs. So if you've gotten a vaccine, you cannot donate blood, tissue, or organs. This is like, I could just go on and on about this. I need to do a whole video on this. It just blows my mind. Okay. Lori, I got to tell you, there's energy around this that it will pass. I swear to God, it's about 65% that it's going to pass, more than 50%. You're going to have to find 35% of some sane people to block this, right? Or whatever it is, 65, 70%, you're going to have to find 30%, 35% of people to block this, because there's literally energy around this. Now, again, it's just like all the states. If you did a poll of Montanans and you said, do you support this? They would say no. The citizens do not support the crazy things these people are doing that are in office, but the people in office have the ability to do it. So yes, quite possibly, yes. And I would just say to you that imagine being in Montana and all of a sudden not being able to get blood. The hospital's shutting down. But when are the doctors going to stand up and walk out of the hospital and say, that's it? That is it. We're not going to allow you to kill our patients. You know what I mean? I mean, somebody's got to stand up at some point, teachers, doctors, even police officers, and say, this is crazy. I don't want to live in crazy town anymore. I'm walking off the job until we get some light, media light shown on this, and talk about it for what it is. Apparently in Florida, they want to get rid of a book, ban a book that talks about seahorses, because seahorses can be male or female, like male seahorses can have babies or something. I don't know. It's freaking crazy. And we're going to get to a point where we stop saying, God, that state is crazy. That state is crazy. The people in the states have to walk out of their houses and out of their jobs and say, we know this is crazy. We're not condoning this, and we're not going back to work until something is done about it. So yeah, unfortunately, that's what I see. 65% chance that it will pass. But if it does, of course, it's going to shut down the hospitals. It's going to shut down your surgeries. And you know, it's sort of like an addict. You have to hit rock bottom. We may have to, some of these states may have to hit rock bottom. And just the lunacy, the absolute lunacy of this be plain for everybody to see. For when those MAGAs go to get their surgery done, and they can't get their surgery done because they can't get any blood, because there's not any blood, because we took away all the blood from the people that are vaccinated, so now there's no blood. They may actually wake up. That's the rock bottom, right? That's the rock bottom where they wake up and go, what do you mean there's no blood? You know, and then they start calling their congressmen, their state elected officials. I mean, I've just like addicts. It's just like addicts. How many have you ever known an addict and thought, this is it? This is their bottom. I thought abortion was the bottom. I thought Republican women would stand. Well, they did vote. We did pretty well. There wasn't a red wave. We stopped a red wave. It was a historic vote. But I thought more Republican women would say, I vote for my daughter. Right? I thought that was the rock bottom. Well, that's not the rock bottom, folks. We got to go dark. We got to go deeper. There's a deeper, darker, muddier, nastier, stankier bottom that we got to hit. And it might be that your daughter can't read about seahorses. And it might be that your son can't get surgery because there's no blood, right? It might be that Marjorie Taylor Greene, and there's a question here, I don't know that I'm going to get to it, but Marjorie Taylor Greene has said that we should just split the country up into red states and blue states. And that's fine. Because red states depend on blue state money. And that would be a nice rock bottom, wouldn't it? For the red states to realize they can't pay their own effing bills, their own bills. They can't pay their own way without a blue state paying for them. I mean, this is the kind of reckoning. This is the kind of come to Jesus, as we say in the South. This is the kind of come to Jesus moment that these people need. We are, enabling, maybe the blue states are enabling the red states. Maybe doctors putting up with this shenanigans, with this vaccine BS is enabling. Maybe teachers with banned books is enabling. At what point do these people say, I can't do it anymore? Now, of course, teachers and doctors and nurses are leaving the profession by droves, but I think they should just walk out into the street and say, this is lunacy. You guys are not paying attention, but I'm a professional teacher. And this is lunacy. I'm a professional. I'm a doctor. I'm a nurse. This is lunacy. MTG took that one step further and said, not only, in a separate tweet, she said, not only should we separate the United States into red states and blue states, but she said, and then, because she thinks they're delusional, lunacy, because she thinks that blue state people will move to red states because red states have all that, that they're the best. She said, when blue state people move to red states, they can't vote for 5 years because she doesn't want that blue state energy to dilute the beautiful magnificence of the red state. Lunacy. I'm ready. I mean, I think somebody commented in that question and said, I'm ready for it to happen. I'm done. It's time for some tough love. Fine. Separate us. Please do. It's exactly what happened with Brexit. This is the same energy as Brexit coming to roost here in the United States. They want to Rexit. Rexit. WRECKXIZT. Rexit. Not red exit. Rexit. They're going to wreck it. Right? You guys see the energy going all the way around the whole world, right? We know the best. Conservatives are the best. We have the best. We are the best. Everybody else is inferior. Every other color, every other race, every other religion is inferior. I'm exhausted by it. I know you're exhausted by it. For the love of God, please take Texas. I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of Texans here. But I've been behind enemy lines for too many decades. It's hard to live in a red state. It's hard to see the lunacy, the absolute lunacy that is governing us. And you can see it too in the graphs when you look at Democratic presidents and Republican presidents. Republican presidents run up the debt, crash the economy, hand it over to the Democrats like, I broke it. Can you fix it? Democrats fix it. Everything is running great. Republicans get in office and do the same thing. They break it every single time. I'm tired of it. I know you're tired of it, right? So I do see that kind of evening out a little bit. Once they break it for good and we hit rock bottom, listen to my words. Once they hit it, rock bottom, and they break it for good, we will come out of this and have a better, more stable democracy. If you cut the video off and you didn't hear me say this and you complain in the comments, I'm just going to start replying. 1-800-Spirit Guides, press 1 for complaints. We have to hit rock bottom just like any addict does. They're addicted to fear. They're addicted to being other, not being, they're addicted to someone taking what they have. They're addicted to losing their power. They're addicted to that fear, adrenaline rush. And once they finally break that fever and hit rock bottom, And that's going to happen this year. Believe me. We just have to see it get worse and worse and worse until they hit that rock bottom, and then they'll go. I literally said this in a video last year. There will be centers to deprogram these people. It's another profit center. It's another profit center. And I always hear Depelchin, which I think down here, Depelchin is a private company that does fostering or does adoptions or something like that. But I think they're going to get into that business. I always hear their name when I hear this. They're going to start recovery centers where people are going to go and get deprogrammed. But here we are. Here we are at the end of this video, and hopefully near the rock bottom for these MAGA people. They've got to hit rock bottom. And then we'll be able to govern. Then we're going to pick up the pieces and fix it once again the way the Democrats always do. I'm not saying the Democrats are saints. They have their own problems. But in this case, they are the adults in the room, and they will put it back together. We will legislate, and we will, through the courts, create stronger guidelines, better laws to keep this from happening in the future. We will take our medicine. We will learn our lesson, and we'll get better. Thanks for watching to the end. I really appreciate it. You guys take really, really good care of yourselves. Deep breathing is good. Release the stress. Go outside this spring. Enjoy yourself. Hopefully the weather's not too bad where you are right now. Take really good care. We'll talk soon. Leave me comments in the comments below. And if you would like to support the channel, you can always subscribe. I really appreciate it. Talk soon. For entertainment purposes only.